Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things, and today you find me in this weird position. I'm in my car. I'm silhouetted against a window. This isn't a great shot. I'm doing my best here, people. But I was trying to go out to the park where I would normally record videos if I'm doing anything pipe related, and it's just too cold and too windy, and it was raining. The rain seems to have kind of stopped for now, but they're expecting snow later. It was as cold as a witch's teat out there, and my camera kept almost being blown over by the wind, and so we had to record in here. I just recorded a cool video that I'm sure you guys will like to check out, but please bear with me with this kind of annoying, boring backdrop. But we have many things to talk about on this Sunday Stuff and Things, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things and working. We're going to talk about the BUR-VA, the BUR-VA, PER-UCKY, whatever you want to call a Virginia Perique dark-fired Kentucky blend, because I just did a video about McFadin Royal Twist Deluxe limited edition 2023 roll cake, a very interesting blend sent to me by our good friend AJ Khaled from Eagle and Child Pipes. So we're going to be talking about that a bit, and then we'll just talk about the fact that I've had a really bad week. It's time to complain a little bit. I won't complain too much, but it's been annoying. And then, of course, we'll have your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings. So let's get into it. God, there is a man out there in full dry suit. He's got a helmet on. It looks kind of like a hard hat from a construction site. And he's got one of those, it's not a windsurfer, but a kite surfer. What are those things called where you hold, it's like a kite that you're holding. I just can't understand why you would want to do that on a day like this. I know it's windy and that helps, but my Lord, now he's deflating it right now. Anyway, what do you have to look forward to on Stuff and Things and working? Well, coming up this week, we will have a video, let me get it out for you, about this beautiful Eagle and Child Rusticated Ent Billiard pipe. A beautiful little pipe. Hopefully it's going to pick up on camera. I know we're silhouetted against the window over there, but lovely pipe sent to us by AJ Khaled from Eagle and Child Pipes. So thanks once again to AJ for sending that along. So we're going to do a video about that pipe this week. The week after that, we're doing a video on the Domke F6, quote, little bit smaller shoulder bag. It's a camera bag that I got recently so that I could carry my little Fuji X106 camera with me, along with my film camera, my Nikon FE2. I have the big F2, which is right here. This is my main camera bag for doing any video stuff. And that's where I keep my Canon mirrorless system and microphones and all my video stuff. I have the F10 that I reviewed on the channel recently, which is a much smaller bag just for one camera. And then the F6 is going to be my two kind of minimalist camera kit. So I got that off eBay. I'll be doing a video on that. I love the Domke bags. They're fantastic. After that, we will be doing a video, a blend spotlight on McFadin Royal Twist Deluxe Limited Edition 2023 roll cake. Very, very interesting and unique blend. And then working episode 43 is out. We are back with the normal cadence of working videos every other week. Nobody has watched working episode 43, so please go to working, check that out. We are back to that really big job that we've been working on. I think the video that I'm going to record this coming week is going to be interesting because we're expecting some cold weather, some snow. We're going to see how much that throws a spanner in the works. This job has been such a test of patience. There have just been so many setbacks, so many things that have gone wrong. Nothing on our end. It's just the circumstances around this building site and trying to get this project going. So check out working. Videos are posting every other week. Just posted on Friday, episode 43, pouring 4 footings in one day. So lots of stuff coming up on both channels. Please check it out. The kite surfer man is dismantling his kite surfer thing and staring fixedly at me through my windshield. I don't know what's weirder, him going out kite surfing on a day when it's like 34 degrees with a wind chill of probably like 20 in stormy seas, or me recording a video in my car. Okay, so the BUR-VA, the BUR-VA, or the, what did I say before? BUR-VA. I think BUR-VA makes the most sense. So a Virginia Perique blend that has dark-fired Kentucky in it. So VA, the postal abbreviation for Virginia, PER, an abbreviation for Perique, and then KY, the postal abbreviation, this is in the US, for Kentucky. So BUR-VA, a Virginia Perique dark-fired Kentucky blend. Now, I reviewed McConnell's Scottish Cake probably 4 years ago. I think it was in 2021. And that's the only vapor, what did I say again? Vaporky blend that is coming to mind right now. And I'm just curious. You guys know how much I love vapor blends. My favorite blend of all time is formerly Dunhill Elizabethan, currently Peterson Elizabethan. It's just kind of, the vapor is usually my favorite anytime kind of blend. There are other times when I might feel like a dark-fired Kentucky blend, or maybe a straight Virginia, or maybe a really Latakia forward English blend. But the vapor is something that I know I will always feel like any time of year, any time of day, my favorite. But what do you guys think about adding Kentucky to that mix? So my limited experience with these blends with Scottish Cake, I enjoyed it. To me, it really added a lot of kind of nutty earthiness. So, because vapors are usually, they have the spicy quality, and there's not, well, there's dark red Virginias in Elizabethan mixture. So they might have kind of a dark earthy flavoring to them, but for the most part, it's the Virginia and it's the Perique. It's the sweetness from the Virginia, often breadiness, maybe some citrusy quality, and then the spiciness from the Perique. But when you throw that dark fired Kentucky in there, you're getting this kind of soupy, barbecue-y flavor, even more sweetness. There's actually some spice that can come in from the Kentucky as well. And it really creates this interesting melange of flavors. And I'm just curious if you guys like the Vaporky. I keep wanting to say Vaporky. Vaporky, yes. Do you like the Vaporky? What are some of your favorite Vaporky blends that you have had in the past? Have you tried McFadin Royal Twist Deluxe Limited Edition 2023 Roll Cake? Obviously, I'm doing a whole video on the McFadin blend, and so you can check that out when that airs. But I would just like preliminarily to hear your thoughts on the whole Vaporky thing. And I'd love to hear about more blends, if you can think of any, that are the Virginia Perique dark-fired Kentucky mix, because I think they're kind of onto something with this, and I'd like to try more blends out like that. I may have even reviewed more in the past, just nothing is coming to mind right now. So let me know what you think in the comments below about Vaporkies, and should they be called Vaporkies? Should they be called Vapor-Uckies or BUR-Vapors? Or BUR-Vapor, but it's not just straight Burley, it's Kentucky, so I feel like we should have Kentucky in there. Let me know in the comments below. Okay, and just quickly, it's been an annoying week. Sometimes it's good to vent. First of all, tweaked my back pretty badly on Tuesday at work. And then we were really rushing to try to get some stuff ready because we were worried about the cold weather that's going to be hitting and whether or not we're going to get snow or if it's going to be frozen forever. So we were hitting it hard. I'm packing forms around, big 8-foot by 2-foot form panels. And I did something and really tweaked the left side of my low back, kind of sciatica into my left leg. Horribly annoying. If you never had back pain, and I've been much better with that lately because even for like the last 5 or 6 years, because I was doing yoga more regularly and it was really helping to prevent any sort of back pain. And then if I got if I had an issue or an episode of back pain, it usually made it much less in length, like it would go away more quickly. So this one happened Tuesday, Didn't really sleep at all Tuesday night. Wednesday was miserable at work, but it was starting to improve. By Thursday, it seemed kind of better. But then Friday, it really started hurting again. And now Saturday, I woke up and was just kind of crippled. I'm sitting in my car right now with the seat heater on, and that's really helping. I'm just roasting my butt and my lower back right now with the seat heater. So that was annoying. Number two, I found out that I started doing my taxes, found out that I'm going to owe a bunch of money to the IRS. That's annoying. So I'm not going to get a refund at all. Number three, realized that my tabs were expired in my car. And I mean, that's not that big of a deal, but I just realized I've been driving around for a month with expired tabs. So now I'm all paranoid. I reordered them online. I have the receipt in case I get pulled over. Number three, someone stole my favorite Seahawks sweatshirt out of the laundry room. I don't know how or why. I'm assuming it was by mistake, but you would think if it was by mistake, they would put it back in the laundry room. But nobody has yet. I've actually put like little missing posters up in the apartment building. Say like, please give me back my Seahawks sweatshirt. I love that Seahawks sweatshirt. That's annoying. Number four, Friday was one of the most miserable days at work I can remember in a very long time. Freezing rain, high winds, just a cavalcade of horrible weather situations, which made it just absolutely miserable. The kind of rain that just blows into your face the entire time, so soaking wet that it eventually soaked through my rain gear. I was just completely drenched to the skin. My underwear was soaking wet from rain water, not from any other liquid. And by the end of the day, I was just a drowned rat, feeling horrible. And then there was something else. Oh yeah, and then just dreading the fact that most of the winter we've escaped without any really cold, harsh winter weather. But it looks like we're supposed to get snow on Sunday, today as you're watching this, and then some much colder temperatures, so the snow might linger. Ground will be frozen, so we can't pour footings if the ground is frozen. Just a lot of things that might make next week not a very good week as far as work goes. Just one of those weeks. I'm sure things will improve. But yeah, I need to, I don't know, do some recreation. I'm hoping to go get some photographs this weekend, but if the weather's really crappy, that's gonna maybe put a dent in that. I did find a cool new anime series that I don't know if I should recommend to you because most of you will probably hate it, but it's called Don to Dan or Dan to Dan. It's on Netflix, it's on Crunchyroll. It's weird. It's really freaking weird, and I've been enjoying that. This kite surfer guy is just giving me the side eye like crazy right now. We're just going to ignore that. All right, gang, but now it is time for hashtag Ask Stuff and Things. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SAT Bradley with the hashtag Ask Stuff and Things. Or if you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon and go right to the front of the line. You can hit that super thanks button under this video and go right to the front of the line. Or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback under my YouTube videos. And I will do my best to read through all of them and pick out some questions. First, we have some feedback, a super thanks. Thank you very much from, okay, let me not butcher this. Aeronatidel Tabaco e della Pipa. I know that's horrible, but I do my best. Thank you so much for the super thanks. Congratulations on your Italian pronunciation. That's very ironic after I just butchered that. It's not at all easy to pronounce Aeronati del Tobacco e della Pipa. Obviously, it's not easy for me to pronounce that. We're waiting for updates. Claudio told me he has another short video where Leonard, so we're talking about Leonard Wurzel's interview with Big Apple Pipes, explains why it wasn't possible to sell or save Sutliff in some way. I'm not so positive about Wurzel's words. I fear it's simply an operation to keep STG's name as clean as possible. Grazie. Yeah, I mentioned that I thought Leonard Wurzel came off as a likable person in that interview, and some people kind of push back on that, like, oh, he's a corporate shill, he's just doing what he can to kind of minimize or trying to do damage control. I'm sure he is. He does work for STG, and that's his job, but I think he seems like a nice person in a difficult situation, and I don't know how much blame he shares for any of this. I don't know, but I don't want to vilify the man. He doesn't seem like a bad guy. And I'm not saying Aeronati del Tabaco de la Pipa was trying to vilify him either. Next, we have from @ColinKelly279. The worst part about all the speculation in tea land is the ridiculous hoarder buying that is ongoing right now. Just plain silliness. As I keep on saying, we survived McClellan, we survived Dunhill. There will be so many other teas to fill the gap, even some with Latakia. Yeah, I always hate panic buying, but I kind of understand when we know that many of these blends will not be around, and if some of those blends are your favorite blends, it does make it tough. And so I can kind of understand people wanting to stock up, but just try to leave some for the rest of us. Next, from @JamesR2622, I like the way we pronounce Latakia. It sounds more like a surfer beach near Santa Barbara rather than an abandoned Russian airbase. I'm going to go shoot the... What do surfers say? Shoot the tube? Is that a thing? I don't think so. We'll go with that anyway. Yeah, I'm going to go shoot the tube at Latakia. Yeah, I can see that. I also just like it because it differentiates the tea from the city. Let's see. This is from @Bach6032. Good video, Bradley. I'd be happy if folks in the pipe community, when saying the name of Rattray's Hall of the Wind, would recognize that the Y is pronounced like a long I, as in wind my watch. So I think I've said Hall of the Wind several times too, rather than speaking it with a short I, as in the wind that blows. A wind, W-I-N-D, is a narrow street or path, and that's the origin of the name. It's a mispronunciation that's taking root and in my opinion, should be uprooted. Carry on. Fair enough. @Mr. D-Bone75 says, aluminum and Kiev. Kiev has always been pronounced Kiev until recently, and now it's Kiev. So yeah, I noticed that as well, and I think what happened there is supposedly when... Oh, I'm getting very dark here. Supposedly when Russia invaded the Ukraine, I think newscasters were making a concerted effort to pronounce Kiev the way Ukrainian people say it, which supposedly is Kiev. So they were trying to de-Russify the pronunciation of the word. So maybe Kiev when it was part of the Soviet Union, and now Kiev that it's Ukraine. I'm not totally sure. I'm assuming that even if... I should ask a Ukrainian person how to pronounce that, because I interact with many of them on a daily basis. Do they say Kiev? It's probably not just Kiev. I'm sure there's a little more flavor to that pronunciation. But let's see. And aluminum, they spell it differently in England. They spell it aluminium. So fair enough. That's the way they pronounce it. We have the spelling aluminum. And apparently that had to do with how, when they were deciding what the element would be named back in the day, there was a difference of opinion. And we went with one way, the Brits went with another way. @DougOwen9873 says, good points about pronunciation. So I should just point out, so many people commented about my video about pronunciation and people getting on people's cases for supposedly pronouncing words wrong. So I definitely touched a nerve there. But @DougOwen9873, good points about pronunciation. Funny thing about George W. So I was talking about how he always said nuclear weapons. And so it's tough for me to say nuclear sometimes, because as a kid, I constantly heard George W. Bush saying nuclear. Is that he knew damned good and well how to pronounce nuclear. He did it to bait his critics into accusing him of being an idiot. My favorite faux pas is when people say, I could care less, when they actually mean, I could not care less, which communicates the true meaning of the phrase. I.e., no matter if you think I don't care about X, I could not care less. You say potato, I say potato. Yeah, that would be interesting if that's true about George W. Bush. Maybe he was that calculating, I'm not sure. The I could care less thing kind of drives me crazy as well. Like I said, I try not to be too pedantic about these things, but it does seem to ruin the meaning of the phrase. If you say, I could care less, then what you're saying is, this thing that I supposedly don't care about, I do actually care about it a little bit, but I could care about it less. But if you say I couldn't care less, it means I care so little about this that it would be impossible for me to care any less than I already do, because I care so little. But then some person might be able to say, well, that means that you can't care less, so you do care. Anyway, I think the original phrase should be I couldn't care less or I could not care less, and I think that conveys the meaning more. I'm still going crazy that people are constantly, maybe this is just how English is changing in the US, but people are still constantly not using the past perfect form. I hear this all the time, especially on like NFL podcasts. People will say like, oh, they had beat them last time. Speaking about a team, beaten. They had beaten, not they had beat. Or they had showed, not they had shown. It should be shown, it should be beaten when you are speaking in the past perfect tense. But I try not to be too crazy about that kind of stuff. Next, at Goalie Me. As an expat Brit living in Australia, I agree with you. I think Americans speak and use English in a more traditional way than the Brits. Just my 5 cents worth. I love how people in the Carolinas speak English, so standard but with a hint, yes still, of Southern English accents. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I've heard many people say, you know, the main fact that American English is still has the rhoticity to it, where we pronounce our R's at the end of words, which I think pretty much everyone in England used to do until, you know, fairly modern history, when their most standard British or English accents changed to a non-rhotic accent where they drop the R. So that's more traditional. It's interesting too, just in certain phrases, like Americans say Merry Christmas, and most English people will say Happy Christmas. And I think Merry is a more kind of archaic way of saying that. So obviously the US has retained some more archaic features of English, but also we have done things like, yeah, you know, like, which is not very archaic. Yeah, I guess, cool. You know, so it's a little bit of both. Let's see. Oh, and then the Carolinas. Yeah, it's interesting hearing, when I was in Appalachia, hearing some of those accents. If you close your eyes and just kind of blur your hearing a little bit, it can sound very much like an English accent. And supposedly that's where those accents kind of come from, is that there were so many of the settlers in Appalachia and the Carolinas were from, I can't remember which part of England, West Country, Midlands, I'm not sure, but their accents were very much, they weren't as influenced by all the Germanic influence and other European cultures that most of American accents were influenced by. And so they have, or they retain, a more kind of English sound. Okay. Oh, wow. He has a much longer comment, but I think that is the most interesting part. We also have the new Underground 8692. Clearly, the gold standard for how to pronounce Latakia is the lady running the tea shop in the Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes film, Dressed to Kill. She says Latakia. If this doesn't settle the debate, I don't know what will. And yeah, you should check that out. If I have time, I will try to insert that now.
It is almost pure Egyptian, with a mixture of Latakia for added body and a pinch of PER-UCKY.
But if I didn't insert it, she does say, she's talking to Sherlock Holmes about some cigarettes that he was investigating. She's like, yes, there is a touch of PER-UCKY and some Latakia. So she says it the way we say it. So we also have some feedback from the developing film at home for the first time video that I posted last week, which I found super interesting. It's funny that, you know, these kinds of videos, they don't get as many views because of the way the YouTube algorithm works. They show that video to you guys. Most of you aren't interested in it, so you don't watch it. So then they don't show it to anybody else. But I think it's definitely interesting to watch. I really like developing film at home now. I've done several more roles since I did that video. There's something about it. There's really, like, obviously I love photography, and it's more magical to take a digital photo and just throw it on your computer and suddenly this image appears. But there's just something about the process of, you're like an alchemist mixing these chemicals together and then dipping this film in it that's been exposed to light and these silver halide crystals. Like, it's just so cool to pull out that strip of film and see it developed at the end. So check that video out. But most people's response were just, oh my God, this is so nostalgic. And it's funny how many people felt that. So at Ultra Classic 01 HD says, wow, that brings back lots of memories. At ChrisCon 8463 says, man, this brings back memories from Photography 101 in the fall of '92. I remember it being tough to learn, but easy once I got the hang of it. And yeah, I mentioned in that video how just the smell of the chemicals just brought me back to college right away, to the darkroom. At NGC 6144 says, I've been developing film for around 20 years. Analog photography is a lot of fun. HP5, that's Ilford HP5 black and white film, is among my favorite films. It's a lot easier to reel film for development by going into a dark closet and with a heavy blanket over you to block any stray light. Yeah, I might try to light tight my bathroom because it doesn't actually have a window. So maybe I can get some weather stripping around the door or something and do it in there. That would be a lot easier than trying to use the changing bag that I'm using. And then at Dukshi says, maybe you should find the user's manual for your camera and see if there is an option for it not to pull the leader all the way in on rewinding. I used to do it like that. No opening of canisters and no problems whatsoever for my first roll. My favorites were FP4 Plus 125 with ID 11 and Pan F plus 50 with Perceptol. Have fun. Yeah, several people mentioned, so when you manually rewind the film into your camera, I do it so far that it pulls the leader into the canister and then I crack open the canister. I have no issue cracking open the canister. The most difficult part of developing film at home is without being able to see, just with your hands in a changing bag, loading the film onto the reel that you have to wind and then put into the developing tank. The cracking open the canister is not a big deal. But anyway, thanks for all that feedback, gang. Please keep it coming in. Oh, there's a very cute lab drinking out of a mud puddle over there. He's very fat and old, and I don't know where his owner is, but I want to go pet him. Thank you for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. But now it's time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Gang, if you would like to support the channels, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. It's the main way that I fund these videos, so if you like anything you see on both of my channels or either of my channels, $5 a month on Patreon will really help keep that going. And every week we like to shout out the people who support the channels at $25 or more a month. The producers, people like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, Jonathon Proctor, The Friendly Piper, The GreatGrol, and Glenn, just Glenn. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month and who are entitled to a chat with me on video chat. People like Bob Magee and our good friend, Ryan McFadin. And of course, we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Gang, please stay tuned for all the good stuff coming up this week. First of all will be the Eagle and Child and Rusticated Billiard pipe. We'll have the Domke F6 little bit smaller shoulder bag, the McBaren Royal Twist Deluxe Limited Edition 2023 roll cake. Working 43, or episode 43 is out, so check that out if you haven't. Follow me on Instagram for my photography at Bradley A. Victor on Instagram. Lots of good stuff coming up, so please stay tuned. Fingers crossed that it's not going to snow too much and that it doesn't get too crazily cold and that the whole week isn't ruined as far as work goes. Anyway, I'll see you, gang. Until next time, till we meet again, I've been good friend Bradley. You've been the audience that's been Stuff and Things on a Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later. Sorry about the car, but it's a lot warmer.